welcome to Cat Talks. This is my January TBR for January 2020, the first TBR of the decade, and I'm going to be taking part in BOOKQUEST, which is a almost month-long readathon. It's from the 5th to the 25th. Now, as usual, when I take part in readathons, I will not be doing I will probably not be doing any of the social media challenges or like joining a team or like updating a website, because I just don't have time for that, and it's not what I find fun about readathons. I'll be joining the team, or following the prompts for the team Mages of the Guild, which are the lazy-ass mages who have been using their magic to make their lives very easy, like bringing themselves foods in bed, and books, obviously, and now, you know, need to shape up a bit to properly defend the realm from a dragon. So, the first prompt is to divine your future, and that is to read a book set in the future. Now for this one I will be reading Arc by Veronica Roth. I actually discovered this book because of this prompt, which is the reason that I love readathons. And this is the first of a series of short stories or novellas set in the future of Earth after global warming and stuff has completely destroyed the planet. And it's done by quite famous authors, but it's because it's an Amazon series. I don't think that most people have heard of it. But there's 5 books, I think, in the series, and they're all novellas or short stories set in the future, like I said. But they're all by different authors, they're all completely different sci-fi twists, and if they're good, they're on Kindle Unlimited, so if they're good, that's, you know, that's really good. I found a new series that I love. I don't know where that went. Then we have Memorizing Runes, and that's to read a book originally published in a foreign language. And I'm actually going to cheat on this one, and I'm going to read a book that was originally published in a foreign language and in its foreign language. And I'm going to be reading Letteroi el Svedio, which is a book in Esperanto about this man Harold Brown's move from the UK to Sweden. Very similar to the move that I made, and it's in Esperanto, so even though it's quite short, it will take me some time because, again, reading in foreign languages is not my strong suit. The third prompt is to purchase a staff, and this is to read a book with magic in it, you know, a fantasy. And I will be reading a book with magic in the title. I will be reading The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. If you've never heard of this Discworld series, I highly recommend that you pick it up. It's got a very British humour style. Terry Pratchett is a kind of like national hero, or he was. Unfortunately, he is now dead. But he is absolutely amazing. His humour is phenomenal, and he co-wrote Good Omens with Neil Gaiman, so if you have enjoyed that TV show, I am sure that you will love the humour in these books. They're very strange takes on the fantasy genre. It's kind of like playing D&D with high DM. I have read this before, so this is a reread for me, but I'm really excited about it. I loved it the first time round, so I'm sure that I will love it the second time round. And obviously this is part of my goal to try and read 25 books from the Discworld series in 2020. Then we have Find Your Familiar, and this is to read a book with a mythical creature in it. Now this was really hard because a lot of the books, you know, you don't know if they have mythical creatures in them until you read them, and also what counts as a mythical creature, like is it just gods, or is it vampires as well, or is it like, does Cerberus count? Like, can I read Harry Potter 1 and Fluffy counts? But I'm going to read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which is a middle grade book about a young man who's kind of like having trouble in school and fighting and stuff, and then he finds out from his mum that he's actually a demigod, so he needs to go to a magical school for demigods. I've never read it, it's a very popular series, but I've never read it, so I'm excited to get started. Then we have Collect Potions Ingredients, and this is to read a book with a plant on the cover. And for this one I will be reading Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. This book is about a kind of like pub in England on the river, and then, you know, they're just kind of like lying and exchanging stories when suddenly a man enters with a half-drowned girl, or possibly drowned girl, in his arms. She is thought to be dead or nearly dead, and everyone suddenly has a claim on her. 3 families come to claim her, with 3 stories of missing girls. So I'm really excited about this one. And this is one of my 2019 releases that I really want to read. Then we have Practice Basic Spells, because obviously we've only been using the Bring Me Food in My Bed spell. We need to up our game. And this is to read a book with a 1-word title. And I'm going to be reading On Scan, which is The Evil in English, but in Swedish it is 1 word. And this also has a film about a boy who goes to boarding school, which I have seen, but I don't remember much of, so this should be a total surprise. As far as I know, he has an abusive father, and then he goes to boarding school, and it does not get better. This is a very dark read. Finally, for the readathon, we have Study the Ancient Tomes, which is to read the group book The group book is by Kirsten White and it is the Genevieve Deception. So this is set in the times of King Arthur. Genevieve comes back to like protect him. It's Merlin's plan to get him to marry Genevieve and like have her protect him, but the truth is that she isn't Genevieve. She is a changeling and she's risking a lot to come to the court. So those are the 6 books that I will be reading for the book quest. So the next book that I will be reading is actually one I got for Christmas, and this is Gutsy Women by Hillary Clinton and her daughter Chelsea Clinton. And this is an anthology of powerful women in the world, in history, their stories, what they did in their lives and things like that. So I'm not sure I'll be able to finish it because it's quite long and it's non-fiction, so it depends how good of an author Hillary Clinton is, but hopefully it's going to be really good. I'm excited about it, so yeah. Then we have the second and third books in the Discworld trilogy, which is The Light Fantastic and The Equal Rights. I'm not actually sure what this one is about. The world of Discworld is about to end, and the only person that can save it is someone who was last seen plummeting off the end of the world. And Equal Rights is awesome. It's about this family of magicians who only ever pass their magic down to men, and just as the man is dying, I think it's like, oh, I'm just going to read it because it's so perfect. The last thing the wizard Drumbillet did before death laid a bony hand on his shoulder was to pass on his staff of power to the 8th son of an 8th son. Unfortunately for his colleagues in the chauvinistic, not to say misogynistic, world of magic, he failed to check on the newborn baby's sex. Yes, so I'm going to try and get to The Light Fantastic, and if I finish The Light Fantastic, then I may also read Equal Rights, but I'm not going to like push myself to read that because I have a lot of books lined up for January. We have A Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlo James. I've read this one, it's very confusing and like you shouldn't hide from YouTube and like discussions of it online if you're stuck. So I will be doing that if I get stuck. This is a fantasy about a young boy who goes missing and everyone is like trying to find him, but then some people are not trying to find him and they are trying to stop people finding him, and you need to figure out why. And finally we have Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. This one is freaking huge because it's the large print edition. I mean, look at the size of the text. So I don't think I'll be reading this one on the bus because I value my back. But I'm kind of annoyed that they only have the large print in the library, but I still really want to read it. This is about a young boy who goes missing again, but this is in the woods, and he comes back and he's sort of haunted by an imaginary friend, and I think his mum is trying, or his friend is trying to fix him. Now at this point you're probably thinking, oh, there wasn't actually that many books, Kat, like why wouldn't you want to read The Equal Rights if you only have that many books to read? But I have a couple more. So I got a Kindle Unlimited trial in December. And so I really want to continue reading Kindle Unlimited books to see if I want to continue paying for Kindle Unlimited after my trial. Oops. So I will also be trying to read 5 total Kindle Unlimited books. So the first Kindle Unlimited book that I want to read is obviously Arc, which I already talked about. But the second one is One Word Kill. This is set by Mark Lawrence, who is the same author as Ready Player One. And this is set in the past. I think there's a missing person again, and there's lots of I don't know, I didn't read that much about it because again I thought that Mark Lawrence is really good. It has very Stranger Things vibes, and the pacing of Ready Player One was fantastic, so I'm looking forward to the same in this. Then we have The Boy Between Worlds. This is a biography about a young boy who was born to parents on different sides of World War II, I think. And so this should be really interesting. This is actually another translated work, so if Lettroi El Sedio does not work out, I can read this one instead. Then we have The Bird and the Sword, which is about a young woman who was cursed by her mother to never speak a word again and to become a bird. And I think the sword dude falls in love with her. I don't know, the challenger for the throne falls in love with her or something. And finally we have Cixin Liu's Death's End. This is the third and final book in the 3-Body Problem series, and the 3-Body Problem was fantastic. The second book, which was The Dark Forest, was also pretty good. Not as fantastic, but pretty good. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. This is another translated work, so again that could also count towards the translated prompt for Ancient Runes, but 15 books I have chosen to read in January. I'm obviously probably not going to read all of them, I'm just going to read a subset of them. And there are more books coming in from the library because I reserved nearly all of the books on my 19 for 2019 list so that I would have them at some point during the year. So fingers crossed they don't all come in tomorrow, but that is everything for me, I think. Let me know what you're reading down below, or let me know if you have a January TBR video. I'm really interested to see what everybody else is reading, and I will see you guys next week.